It's 2:08 now. Well, the Prime Minister, Bill English, has rung Theresa May over the weekend to congratulate her on her re-election as British Prime Minister. And the New Zealand Prime Minister, Bill English, joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, congratulations to Theresa May, but it was winning ugly, wasn't it?
Well, it's winning. As we discussed, New Zealand's used to running on majorities of one or two, as we have done for years now. And in the UK, that's quite a big adjustment.
What implications do you think it will have for New Zealand when we're looking at Brexit, we're looking at possible trade deals and trying to muscle in on those? What sort of implications do you think having a relatively tenuous government will have for New Zealand?
Look, because they're on a fixed timetable for Brexit, I don't think it'll make that much difference to when we can work with them, because we can't work with them on a trade deal until they've left Europe. And in the meantime, we'll get on with negotiating a free trade agreement with Europe. That's underway. Clearly, it's put a bit of pressure into the British system, and they may have to rebalance their negotiations, the stance that they take in negotiating with Europe. But there is a deadline, and they'll need to get on with it. I think they need to start next week. It's going to be a bit pressurised, adjusting their domestic politics as well as dealing with Europe.
Were you surprised at how their domestic politics played out at the polls? You would have read the opinion polls along with everyone else, seen all the commentary. Apparently Jeremy Corbyn was unelectable, but he nearly made it.
Well, I think everyone was a bit surprised. I mean, I think there's a couple of factors there. One big one is just the fact that they've got large deficits, and they've had quite a long period since the financial crisis trying to clear those deficits and haven't done it. And that has an impact, particularly for an incumbent now, and had an impact on the election. So in New Zealand, of course, we have surpluses, so we don't have the same kind of politics, where people can get a bit tired of the austerity.
Well, some of the same issues are at play in New Zealand, though, aren't they? There is some concerns about immigration, and we'll talk about that in a second, but there's homelessness, there is at least perceptions and realities too, depending on how you look at it, at inequalities in New Zealand. We've had some pretty surprising election results around the Western world in the last couple of years. Do you think you might be in for a bit of a shock in September?
Well, you must always presume it's possible. I mean, we don't take anything for granted about September. There's plenty of lessons internationally. There's issues which may really ignite some voters.
What do you reckon those lessons are?
Oh, well, look, generally because we've got a stronger economy going pretty well, lots of job creation, the ability and the positive choices from having surpluses, I think it's a bit less likely here, but that's why you have elections, to find out.
Do you think that the lesson is that you can't campaign simply on your record, that you have to be throwing forward? And will you be able to do that?
Oh, that is certainly the case. Campaigning on your record doesn't meet the requirement of for people to see what you want, what you're going to be aiming to do next. And fundamentally, that'll be a positive campaign. Because we've got a positive view about New Zealand and its success and its direction and our ability to deal with some quite long-standing issues because we've got positive choices. That's quite a different environment, I think, than the UK.
Well, let's talk about one of those issues, and it's one that Labour's highlighting, and this is immigration. They say that you've been unprepared for this, and they put a statement out saying that 4 years ago the budget projected net immigration of 37,000 people between 2013 and 2016. So 37,000 was the projection, and it came in at 173,000, 4 times faster than forecast. Do you take issue with those numbers?
Oh, the way immigration forecasts work is that, because it has been a few years on this, Treasury always forecast it dropping from wherever it is back to the long run average, which has been about 12 or 15,000 net migration. That's just what all the forecasters do.
Did you take those ones seriously? I mean, were you planning for 4 times fewer immigrants than you actually got?
Not planning for 4 times fewer. We've been planning for a growing economy and adapting to that growth because it's been more sustained, I think, than people expected, more successful than people expected, and we need the people to do the jobs. I mean, right now, the demands of the construction sector are as high as they've ever been. We need more and more people to build the roads, the water pipes and the houses.
So it's a funny argument, though, isn't it? Because you're saying because more people are coming in, we need to bring more people in to do the work that those more people have created. That's
Well,
what you're saying.
Well, you can get into a virtuous circle, but remember the biggest single change in migration flows has been Kiwis not leaving. And of course, that is success. Surely we can get the skills in that we need to build for the people, the Kiwis, who want to stay
what about
here.
bringing the New Zealanders up to the skill level that they can do the jobs? Or do you still believe that they're sort of drug-addled and lazy?
Oh, we've spent an enormous amount of time and money trying to do exactly that. In fact, a big part of our social investment approach has been to be much more proactive and supportive of people who struggle to get into the labour market. And I must say, it's fully testing the capacities of our public service and its experience, because we're going about this in ways that haven't been done before.
To try and get those people in a position where they can do these basic jobs.
And we're having some real success with some groups. Sole parents, for instance, we've got the lowest number of sole parents on benefits since the early 80s, 60,000 fewer children in a benefit-dependent household than just 5 years ago. But now that's been quite successful. Less success with those who've been longer-term unemployed, but particularly those with mild to moderate mental illness or disability.
Let's look at what you think would happen if Labor goes ahead with this policy, and the expectations are, and they've pretty much said it themselves, that they are going to cut net migration by 20 or 30,000 people a year. What impact do you believe that would have on the New Zealand economy?
I think a dramatic cut like that will just stall it. I mean, I've been out on the road in the last few weeks since the budget, and time and again hearing, for instance, in the horticulture industry, that availability of labour is critical to the next investment they're going to make in expanding what is now a very successful apple industry, for instance, or trucking firms who've got trucks parked up just because they can't quite get the people.
So this is an admission then, isn't it, when I think about it, that the economic growth is dependent on immigration? Because you just said that if we cut it back even by 20 or 30,000, we're stalled, which is effectively recession if you're saying no economic growth.
Well, it's actually the opposite, and that is we're in some parts of this economy we're getting near to full employment, which is about as good a set of conditions as you can get. And the fact is, there's some things just simply have to happen. We have to build the houses. We have to build the roads and the water pipes to support that housing. That's for people who are here now. So slashing the immigration, whatever you think of it, slashing it when you need the people to do the jobs that must be done, it doesn't make any sense.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. That's the Prime Minister.